couple of days ago, you and I and the world, in fact, saw India's Silicon Valley sink. The city witnessed 150% more rainfall than average. So yes, the rains were to blame for the deluge, but not entirely. There were other things sinking Bangalore as well. The rains in Bangalore exposed just how messed up the city's infrastructure is. A world-class metro reduced to a river. After the flood subsided, now the Bangalore civic body has sprung into action and is on a demolition spree, at times raising structures without any prior notice. So roads, compound walls, gates so far, but villas and housing societies and IT companies have all been sent notices and are on their radar next. Bangaloreans, that's the citizens of the city, are extremely angry, questioning the belated and unfair action by the civic body. And they are getting support from one of Bangalore's tallest citizens, an industry giant as well, Biocon chief Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who is seeking a probe into the BBMP, that is the Bangalore civic body, and the BDA, that's the Bangalore Development Authority itself. She and others want to know why there is no action against those who allowed encroachments in the first place. Take a listen.
To raise buildings where, innocent people or home buyers are affected is not the solution, because, they have bought properties based on proper government approvals. If all these buildings have got completion certificates, on what basis can then homeowners know whether it's right or wrong? So I think we cannot make a mockery of the approvals granted by the government, but certainly these approvals have not been granted in the right way. So I think that's why I think all the airing officers within BBMP and BDA are also accountable for these kind of permissions.
The question is why not even one official has been pulled up.
Serious violation where the BBMP official ought to be definitely investigated, and the BBMP ought to take responsibility of correcting the situation.
I don't know why the government is not punishing, but in this area of AECS layout, there was no flooding at all. First thing. Second thing, we have all our plans, approval, sanctions, everything we are having. When they came to demolish without the notice, without telling, people are staying in the building. But still they came and tried to demolish. We said that we have got all the papers and all the permissions. They didn't bother to listen. We said that BBMP only has given, Tehsildar has given. Still they were not ready to listen and they started breaking down. And when we showed them the papers also, they said, don't know.
Were there any manhandling?
Yes. When my husband was about to stop them, why you're breaking without any papers and all, show me your papers and then you can do. If I'm wrong, you can do. So the manhandled, they pushed him towards the bus.
We don't want to blame also, ma'am. They have given the approvals. They have sanctioned it. They have signed on with the builder papers also, agreements also. When they have done all this, for even sewage and Kaveri connection, they have collected 16 lakhs from us for the 40 units apartment. But today they say that you don't have an approach road. If we don't have an approach road, then why did they do an BWSSB, UGD underground drainage for us? Why did they give that? And why did they give the BESCOM connection, electricity connection? Why did they accept the GAIL connection for us? 800 families are at stake now. Just imagine there is a big trench of 16.5 feet in front of our apartments where we cannot walk.
So we have been using this road without any issues. Suddenly BBMP, they came and they are digging the road and they are marking. So we don't have any clues. So they are saying that from 20 years back here Raja Kalva is there. We don't know all those things. If they wanted to extend the Raja Kalva, they can extend. But they have to show some alternatives to us, because most of the buildings, they are dependent on water tankers, and that kachra vans has to go take the dust.
Okay, that's what citizens of Bangalore are saying. Let me quickly go across to Deepak Bopanna, who is joining us on the broadcast from Bangalore itself, before I go to my guests. Deepak, thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. I want to ask you, you've been tracking the story since morning. In fact, for the last couple of days, the bulldozers are out in Bangalore. Is the BBMP saying anything at all in its defense? Because look at what citizens are saying. Hey, you are the ones who gave us permissions. Therefore, we built on the land that we were allowed to build on. And now suddenly you're turning around after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years and saying everything is illegal. and it's an encroachment. Any defense that the BBMP is throwing up?
So look at, the hypocrisy here. When the floods hit Bengaluru, who were affected? The ministers were not stuck in traffic. The BBMP officials were not the ones who were late for their work. They were not the ones who were pulled up. They were not the ones who were trying to wade through, waters which were hip level. Their houses were not the ones submerged in water. They're not the ones running helter-skelter trying to get some sort of money through insurances and so on. And their homes are not being demolished. But they are the ones who, of course, allowed multiple encroachments to happen in the city of Bengaluru, and they've gotten away scot-free even till today. Not even one official of the BBMP, BDA or anybody has been even issued a show cause notice to say, well, you sanctioned this particular property. Today, it's, we are saying it's an encroachment. A demolition drive is going on. Lakhs and crores was spent by the people, hard-earned money of certain people who, of course, use their life savings to buy certain houses. Some of them, they're saying that, the approach road to their apartment is being cut off. Now, there are about 1,000 people living in that flat. They're saying that all the approvals have been given by the BBMP. The question is, who gave the approval if there was an encroachment? And if there has been an encroachment, what were they doing all along? And now, all of a sudden, because, there's been a huge uproar, because the flooding has happened, there has been a situation where it has caused a lot of embarrassment to the current regime and to the city itself. Now, carrying out this demolition drive, is it going to really serve the purpose? More importantly, you're just talking about, encroachment of, stormwater drains. What has the BBMP been doing for the last few months in terms of clearing, drains, ensuring that desilting work is done periodically? This is something that has to be done, but it was not in various accounts. And more importantly here, at the end of the day, the common man is bearing the brunt on all aspects. But it's the officials who seem to have somewhere a clean sheet, and nobody's pulling them up. Nobody's asking the question as to why is the official who gave the permission in the first place, where is he sitting? Even if he's in a different department at this point in time, why is he not being pulled up? And if a common man is bearing the brunt of his house being razed down, will this official who gave permission share the cost or share the burden with the common man? Well, as of now, the Chief Minister, when we had a word with him just a while ago, now he assured that action will be taken against any of the erring officials. We'll have to see whether the BBMP actually does what the Chief Minister is asking him to do.
How the Chief Minister's bite, we'll try and play it, but what a cliche it is, isn't it, Deepak Bopanna? Action will be taken. I mean, that's something we hear all the time. Actually, I think citizens of this country are sick with that one line. Let's listen into the CM in any case.
Will the government act against that?
Certainly, I have already told that whoever has given permission, whoever the officials and engineers, then will be inquired into and punished also.
Our guest this evening, and just by the way, we are opening up our phone lines as well because we want to hear from you. Our numbers are flashing on your screens. So whether you are from Bangalore or someone who stayed in Bangalore or has any emotional connection with Bangalore, do call us. We want to hear from you about what you think of this BBMP demolition drive. Is this unjust according to you? Is this unfair? Is this belated? And more importantly, is this drive a face saver for the BBMP? Are they trying to deflect the blame here? Our guest this evening, Dr. Nagendra Rangappa, spokesperson of the BJP Karnataka unit. Thank you very much, Dr. Rangappa, for joining us on the broadcast. Shrinivasan Alvili is a citizen activist joining us. S. Subramani is CEO, Civil Contractors in Bangalore. He's going to speak to us about whether it's the citizens at fault or the BBMP at fault or the contractors at fault. And Asihwarya Mahadev is spokesperson of the Congress party. Asihwarya, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to the civil activist first. Important to hear the voice of the citizen. Mr. Srinivas, we are seeing the bulldozers out in Bangalore. This is an anti-encroachment drive supposedly to clean up Bangalore's stormwater drains and encroachments from Bangalore's stormwater drains so that what we saw last week doesn't ever happen again. What do you make of this demolition drive? Because the BBMP, and we did try and get a reaction from them, they refused to say anything. It's almost like all the criticism that is coming against them, that they can simply just disregard it and keep walking the way they've been walking. But what's your reaction to the demolition drive that is currently underway?
Thanks, Shreya. It's quite complicated, really. We keep saying they, we keep saying BBMP, but who is they? Who is BBMP? BBMP is not a fixed person, one person or a set of people. It's a moving organization. 10 years back, somebody signed on some plan approval. 15 years back, somebody else given the clearance on the land, and someone else signed the occupancy certificate. In this whole value chain of encroachment to conversion of land into building plan approval, into construction completion, all of that, there's so many people involved. So this is the kind of system that we have that easily makes it easy for anyone to escape accountability to it. So that is the first point we must remember. So the people that are BBMP today may not be personally responsible. Some of them may be, some of them may not be. So who do you punish? And penalizing BBMP means what? Penalizing the organization of BBMP. BBMP is a government body. It's a city government. It's a third-tier government of Bengaluru. So if you impose a fine on BBMP, that means you're imposing a fine on the people again. It has to be the individuals, the engineers, the planners, whoever is the person that signed on that particular document. So this kind of thing requires an investigation and a white paper. And Karnataka is lucky to have an institution called Lokayukta. The Karnataka Lokayukta is one of the pioneering institutes to find corruption and to fight corruption in high places in government. And if you recall, Justice Santosh Hegde was running the Lokayukta, and that's how, so many people, including the ex-chief minister, were sent to jail in one of the cases. So the Lokayukta has been steadily taken off all the powers over the years by both parties. No party is exempt from this. And recently, due to another court case, the Lokayukta got some of its teeth back. So I think at this point of time, the Lokayukta should take up this case in a suo motu manner, understand who are the individuals involved in each of the cases. I am pretty sure that there is no institutional mechanism to lay blame on any individuals. The people that do these things are very smart. And we all know the elephant in the room, right? No officer is signing on something without the blessing or urging of a political leader somewhere.
Correct.
We're not talking about
There
that.
is an entire food chain. There is an entire food chain.
So
Whether it's in Bangalore or in Lucknow or in Hyderabad or in the Northeast, it's an entire food chain.
And you don't know whether the officer signed under pressure, duress, or by taking a bribe. You actually don't know that. So there could be an honest officer who was forced to sign on something because there was a pressure on her. We don't know these things. So that's why an investigation is needed. And as far as people are concerned, the thing I can think of is, there's recently you've seen, Shreya, cases of electric scooters exploding. Somebody buys a scooter, goes home, 2 days later, scooter explodes, house is burned down, people die, things like this happen. So who is responsible? The consumer is responsible or the manufacturer is responsible? In the case of electric scooters, very clear that the manufacturer is responsible. I think we all agree that. In the case of encroachments, who is the manufacturer of it? I think we should find those manufacturers in a systematic way and then penalize them. And that's when trust will be restored. In the meanwhile, compensation for the people that are impacted must be done.
But compensation, there's no compensation. There are just bulldozers right now. And, maybe people are to blame as well. I will agree. That people are to, citizens are to blame as well. But there are, today, our reporter was at a housing society where, the gate has been brought down and the compound wall has been brought down. And they're saying, look, the society had all BBMP permissions and clearances. We have a water connection here.
So how do you blame citizens then?
Exactly. We have an electricity connection here. We have water connection here. BBMP has given us the go-ahead. And now look at what the BBMP is doing. They are saying that this approach road right in front of your society, illegal, built on storm water drain, let's dig it out. So it's been dug out. Then they have identified an entire patch in that housing colony. They're saying it's sitting on a stormwater drain. We will need to bring down these houses. You bring them down on your own. Otherwise, we will come, demolish it, and you will have to pay for it. Mane, first, you are the ones who give permission for building a particular structure, and you spend your hard-earned money to, buy that flat or build that villa, and then one day the BBMP will come and say, now bring it down. And even to bring it down, you will have to pay. I mean, what sort of logic is this? Let me get in, before I get in Asihwarya, Mahadev and the politicians in, Mr. S. Subramani, I want you to come in here. Please tell me who is to build. You are a civil contractor. We have always talked about this builder, politician, mafia nexus. Is that what is to blame? We understand the corruption involved. Please help me understand who you think is to blame. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir.
If you start blaming everywhere, we have to sit and blame everywhere, right? So there is no solution for it. But we have to, each and every government need to understand the BBMP or the encroachment, the roads and the everywhere, the roadsides or building or apartments or individual house construction or the road development or anything. But any individuals need to be given attention towards to bring it down in this way. But you can't point out is this one person here, either BBMP or the encroachment to the builders or the contractors or anything. Everywhere is the problems here.
That there is corruption and money has to be fed and money has exchanged hands.
Yes, of course, there is there is approval, there is everything and paperwork, everything is proper. But still, if things are happening, it has to be looked out in another the way of reasonable.
Okay. We have Renu, who's calling us from Bangalore. She's one of the residents who we had spoken to earlier today. It is her society's compound and gate that I believe has been brought down by the BBMP bulldozers, and the road in front of her society has been dug as well. Renu, you're on the phone line with us and you were very angry today with the BBMP.
Yes.
Now, the two speakers on the panel have said everyone is to blame. The system is to blame. But in this case, what does a citizen do? It seems that you will have to pay for whatever has happened in Bangalore in the last 1 week or so.
Yes, madam. The thing is that they have broken and they have gone, but they have left the debris like that only. What will we do if suppose rain comes tonight? The water will start clogging over there. The BBMP people have whatever, their corruption is there at every level. It is not that at one level the corruption is there. Every level the corruption is there. They themselves have given us the plan approval, the water connection, the electricity, everything. Without removing the electric poles, they started demolishing our compound walls. Even though when we are showing them the papers, they are not ready to listen. So we asked them, you show us the papers. If you are right, let it go ahead. But they were not ready to show their papers also. They were telling that we have got pressure from up. So upar se pressure aa gaya, so they will just come and demolish anybody's house. Do they know first of all where the Raj Kalve or where is the big gutter going? And they have without knowledge of anything, they have just come and started digging up the walls, compound walls. We have taken bank loan of about 1.2 crores. In spite of having all these things, how come they can come and just blindly go on demolishing our compound? And they have given us the time saying that within 3-4 days we'll come and we'll demolish the remaining part of the building. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Renu. I can hear you.
The thing is that they are telling that one side they will mark with the red ink, and then the next time after 20 days or 1 month or 1 year they'll come and they'll mark on the other side. The markings are also not fixed. First they will mark for 2 feet, then they will mark 5 feet. 5 meters, whatever number comes to their mind, they will just mark it. Markings are also not permanent. BBMP people basically don't know how much they have to mark, where they have to mark. Do they have the village plan from where and what it is going on? Just to prove some political party or just because somebody has bribed you, you will just go on going on collapsing. But this is not the solution. No? Okay. People are residing over there. You come out with a new solution.
Correct.
By breaking the buildings, what you're going to gain?
Correct. Okay, Renuji.
Don't break. People are residing. Find out new solutions.
Okay.
There is solution for the drainage. But this is breaking of the buildings where people are residing from here. That is not the correct solution.
Thank you, Renu, for calling us. Thank you very much. I have Dr. Bharti with us as well. Dr. Bharti, please go ahead.
Madam, this demolition, what they are doing, this is already stopped. This is already stopped. This was only a drama for a few days. And I don't think so any solution they are going to find out from this, but they are creating havoc out of it. They are creating havoc. And they don't understand the sentiments the people have with the hard-earned money and with the housing that they have got into it, the attachments of that home. Nothing they know, ma'am. Better to seize the property of all those BBMP officials and the politicians' regime during which these were given. Seize their property, stop their pensions, stop all the welfare measures that were given to them. Then they do understand these things. They don't understand easily anything. And we people also have to be with this. And I feel there is somewhere unity amongst us also is missing to raise a voice against these people.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Nagendra Rangappa, come in here. ऊपर से pressure है, therefore the BBMP will come out with its bulldozers, not even give notices to people, and just arrive and start breaking something or the other, and give dhamki that they are coming to destroy the entire building. It is not just common citizens. IT parks have been told the same. You have, IT companies like Wipro that have been told the same. Isn't this belated action and completely unjust? Just because there is pressure and criticism on the BBMP and the current dispensation, you need to be seen to be doing something because the assembly session is on. Therefore, you send out the bulldozers and harass people.
Definitely not. Excuse me. Just excuse me.
Yes.
Definitely not.
Yes. We'll give Dr. Rangappa a moment there. I think he needs... Are you okay, sir?
Yeah, I am okay. Just give me a minute, please. I'll be back.
Sure. Aishwarya, would you want to come in here?
Good evening, Shreya. I think first and foremost, there are few problems that exist that have not been
Terrible audio.
For a solution and whatsoever.
Aishwarya, your audio is terrible. What we'll do is we'll just pause this discussion because Prime Minister Modi is having a bilateral with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I think we can go to the pictures that are coming to us from there. We'll try and fix everyone's phone lines and come back to this very story. That's from the SCO summit in Uzbekistan that these pictures are coming to us. As we see these pictures, important to remember that this is a time when we have when the Russian president actually is under much criticism from the Western world. With the war in Ukraine, India, of course, has pledged to buy oil from Russia. The other, the other big thing that everyone was wondering whether it will happen or not. This bilateral, of course, was confirmed both by Delhi and by Russia. But the other big bilateral that people were wondering whether it will happen or not, that's a possible bilateral with Xi Jinping, the president of China. That clearly is not happening, given the tensions that still prevail in eastern Ladakh. So those pictures coming to us from the SCO summit in Uzbekistan. Okay, going back to the Bangalore story, we have another caller with us. Thomas, you're calling us from Bangalore. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thomas here from Bangalore. See, I'll tell you, this BBMP is a big drama. Illegal constructions are going on. You get a plan sanction for for example, I'll give a small example, ground plus 3. You build 5 floors. You don't give setbacks. What is the use? Complain to whom? Give complaints. They don't act because they get money. The local engineers, they don't, assistant engineer, executive, they don't require salary. They are making in crores. If you look at each ward, you will find these fellows minting money. And nobody can speak against them because people are frightened. Why? Then they will be hammered. I'll tell you, this BBMP is not acting the way it should act. Nobody comes to inspect whether he is constructing the building according to plan. Nobody is coming to inspect the building whether he is using proper mixture to build the building. And every new building you see, it will be leaking after some time. From the top to bottom, it will leak. What is the cause? Builder's mistake. Who is to suffer? The buyer has to suffer. Whom to complain? Nowhere to complain. What is the use? Going to court has no sense. These are the things that are happening.
Okay.
I'll tell you, don't end the story here. Please prolong, because all these illegal constructions, you give plan, you give sanction, you take money and give sanction. I don't say all the officers are corrupt, but there are corrupt officers who only sit there. They don't require salary. The fat money they get is too much. Too much, really too much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lakshmikant. What can I say? I don't even have to ask you a question, Dr. Rangappa. You've heard all the callers. For the last 10 years, the BBMP has been with which political party, sir?
This is very unfortunate, which should not happen. And the Chief Minister has very categorically made a statement that Nobody will be spared, and there is no pressure of any sort from anybody. And whatever is the legal course of action will happen, and there'll be nobody to disturb that, of course.
Dr.
Yes,
Rangappa.
it has been a problem for a very long time, and this is not that something which has occurred in last 2-3 years. It has been a big problem for us in Bangalore. Every time when there is a rain, there is a problem. There is stormwater drain, there is pressure, there is a lack of coordination between the departments. All these things have been happening. But definitely we are going to look at this in a very serious manner, and we are going to take charge of the situation and see that all these things are set right very soon.
Dr. Rangappa,
inconvenience that
Dr.
has happened
Rangappa, we have more citizens and they will probably say this, and you know, there are more people calling us, too little, too late. And what's the point, you know, giving us these cliches? We all know action will be taken, you know, this will not be repeated, no one will be spared. For the last 10-15 years, everyone has been spared, it seems. Because ultimately, the BBMP officials give you the go-ahead so that you can build your, you know, whatever villas or IT parks or homes. And then one day when the BBMP comes under criticism, they will come to you and say, no, now we are demolishing it. So either ways, it's the citizen, by the way, that is losing out. And what about BBMP officials, engineers, all top officers who have taken lots of bribe? Any accountability fixed? No accountability fixed, sir.
Definitely, madam. This is something which...
Yeah, but sir,
this is something that the BJP government is going to look at very seriously. We are going to investigate it.
Aishwarya, you want to come in here?
To find out who these...
Okay. Aishwarya, you want to come in here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Unfortunately, the connection of both of you is not very great, but go ahead. We'll give this a shot, Aishwarya. Go ahead, please.
So, you know, you very rightly spoke about the idea of too little, too late.
June, July had warned us that you're going to have massive sort of floods that are going to hit Bangalore. The lack of preparedness is something that was very evident in that case, one. Second thing, when it comes down to what has happened after, the sort of response or sort of relief activity, or even sort of the bipartisan manner in which, or the partisan manner rather, in which they've tried to undertake demolitions is one, not only unscientific, it's absolutely discriminatory, because the big builders get away while the poor people suffer more than they have. They've lost their livelihood. Now they're losing what is left. I think in all of this, accountability and culpability has not been apportioned. And I, as the Congress party representative, can tell you one thing. Whoever is to blame, whether it is on my side or the other side, if the BJP government allows for a probe, every single officer who's responsible, people who've signed off the local area, whether it's the corporators or MLAs, you'll realize who tacitly or implicitly had a part in this, but the BJP is not willing to do it. Mr. Bomai keeps saying he will take action where? There was a huge expose where contractors within the contractors associations are telling you how much of a bribe they're actually paying. And what was the action that was taken after? This has become systemic. Everybody is implicit in this, and accountability lays nowhere. But the people who are paying the price are people who, when they purchased the property, thought everything was fine, that nothing was wrong. It is also the builders, it is also the authorities. And all of this goes a long way into saying it's causing the deterioration of my state. But where are the heads going to roll? Where does the buck stop? Where does the accountability come in, Shreya? And those are the questions I'm also asking. We're saying order an impartial probe. Bring down whoever's responsible. Because there is the bureaucratic class involved. There is the elected representatives involved. There are the builders also involved. And the massive amounts of money changing hands is one of the greatest incentives for people to overlook Rajkalvis, overlook any sort of sanctions, and also harm people in the city in the larger picture. And that is the most unfortunate
You're
thing.
being honest here, Aishwarya. You're saying that this is systemic. This is not just the BJP government that is responsible. This is also the previous Congress dispensation that is responsible. Order an inquiry, and everyone who has taken money, bribery, etc., whether it's the politician or the builder or the corporator or the engineer, send them to jail. Let there be an inquiry and send them to jail. Lakshmikant, you're calling us from the city of Bangalore. Please go ahead.
This is regarding from first many years, like this is going to happen now, that whenever the heavy rain downpour, that the downlying area is filled with the water. This is purely because of negligence of the government. I mean to say, it's not about the BJP or Congress or really this one. Whenever the rain comes, this is going to fill everywhere in the rural area.
Okay. Okay, so Lakshmikant is saying, yes, Mr. Rangappa, Lakshmikant is saying it's not about BJP Congress. Everyone who comes is corrupt. Everyone who comes will give permissions with their eyes closed as long as they can make some money. After that, if there is criticism, to deflect attention from the real questions, which is who gave permissions, why did they give permissions, how much were they paid for the permissions, and what do you do with these people now, to deflect your attention from all these important questions. You say, chalo bulldozer le aao, that will always make the headlines. TV channels will talk about it. Yes, there are common citizens who will be impacted. They will come, scream and cry and make it to the headlines. But at least no one will ask us the tough questions. Shailendra is calling us from Bangalore. Okay, we'll go to Shailendra in just a bit. Let the BJP spokesperson come in here, please.
Let me ask my Congress colleague here, who sanctioned the land on stormwater drain to Mr. Nalpad to build his school and college? Was it the BJP government, or was it the Congress-led Siddaramaiah government, or the H.D. Kumar Swamy supported by the Congress government? So what action have you initiated against this person for this encroachment and all? Have you asked for any explanation how he got it? No, you haven't not. Very clearly it is available on the public domain that your Congress MLA has encroached land and they didn't allow the government officials to get into their land. What explanation the Congress party has to say about this? They don't want to talk to Nalpad also. They're looking the other way. The thief is sitting there in their own house. Why don't you talk to him? Why don't you seek an explanation? Why don't you bring his documents to public domain and show who has granted him the permission?
Aishwarya?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So first and foremost, this is not something I wanted to talk about, because if you look at the area where this has happened, it's the area of Madhevpura, which infamously belongs to one of these very famous BJP MLAs, Mr. Arvind Limbawali. And first and foremost, sir, look at when the actual grant and the sanction of the land happened, and look in during whose tenure it was. One. Second thing, Mr. N.A. Harris himself, as well as the family, have come out and issued a clarification. You are taking 2 meters away of a compound wall of a stormwater drain that is not more than 10 centimeters. But in that same list of people, of 15-20 people, Shreya, and you should look into this, of 15-20 buildings of massive encroachment, there are buildings that have more than 10-15 meters of encroachment, but belong to people obviously close to a dispensation, and no action has been taken. They are sitting right on the prime property of a Raj Kalve, but no action has been taken. Mr. Harris has come out and said, if I am in the wrong and I have all the permissions, I have all the sanctions, I have the builder's permission, I even have the local authorities' permission, which is all, mind you, BJP ruled, right? And he had all the permissions. He said, I'm cooperating with this. Bagmane, the Bagmane Tech Park, and please go look into who is which related to whom on that side, refused to say don't demolish anything of us. They're still defiant. They're still arrogant. Mr. Nalpad allowed his compound to be demolished. Has he said a word about it? He has said, please look, I will take accountability. I'm an upstanding citizen of society. If I've done something wrong, I will obviously own up to it. But make sure the other 14 names on that list, all of whom have their ties to everybody in that nexus, take action against them because they have more.
Okay, so
my party has held its MLA accountable.
So you're
for
saying
an educational
what is happening is selective demolition.
For a tech company or other.
You're saying it's selective demolition.
Institution.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, Shreya?
I'm saying you're saying this is selective demolition that is taking place.
Absolutely.
Shailendra is calling us from Bangalore. Shailendra, please go ahead.
Madam.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Yes, please go ahead.
No, these politicians, they are talking goody on the TV. In the Congress period only, these encroachments happened. That lady is telling about BJP, all these things. The person who did all these demarcations of lakes and everything was the KJ George. He is the main culprit now. And whenever this demolition drive starts, they will start with smaller houses, 20, 30, 40, 30, 40. And when it comes to celebrities houses and MLAs houses, minister houses, they will stop there. Over, katam. The demolition is katam. And this issue, it is the rain this year we have received more rain. That is nature's We cannot blame anyone for that. Such a rain we cannot handle anywhere in the city, whichever the city it is. Those things are also taken care. But these issues, continuing from the so many ages, whether it is BJP, whether it is Congress, they are doing all this nonsense day by day.
Okay, the politicians on the panel, I'm fairly certain you've heard what Shailendra is saying. Subramaniam calling us from Mumbai, I believe. Go ahead, Mr. Subramanian.
I have these following questions. Let Shailendra end his call, no? Because he's still...
No, he's ended his call, sir. Go ahead.
Actually, I have these following questions. First of all, these bulldozers should go to the BBMP office with all the engineer, chief engineer, everybody sitting inside. And they should come out for their life outside. Why the hell you are not calling these fellows on the TV and shame them?
Sir, they don't want to come. They don't want to answer questions.
No, if they don't want to come,
our reporters go. They come back without even a sound bite. Why will they want to come and show their faces? They know what is going to happen if they step out in public or come to a media channel. So they don't want to respond. Mr. Subramaniam, please go ahead. I'm talking to you.
Yes. No, that is what, the bulldozers, instead of demolishing the illegal thing, they should go and demolish that BBMP office with all these fellows locked inside.
Arey, that is extreme. We don't want anything like that to take place. But Mr. Srinivas, we understand what the citizens are going through. We've heard from a lot of them, some whose homes are probably under threat right now as we speak, some who are just general citizens, absolutely fed up with the way, Bangalore used to be such a lovely city. I remember going there when I was younger. You almost don't want to go there despite its great weather because of the fact that it's a complete infrastructure mess. Do we understand where citizens are coming from, and can they do anything at this point of time? Because the BBMP seems to be hell-bent on making an impression that we are doing the right thing. Look, these are the guys who faulted, built homes and villas and IT parks and tech companies on stormwater drains, and we are the good guys. We are going out and we are going to do our jobs, irrespective of whether it's a Wipro on the way, or Renu, who's a housewife who's coming in the way.
No, Shreya, let me first assure that Bangalore is still a dream destination, and you're welcome any day, and we will.
I wonder how many new companies would want to set up home in Bangalore, given the headlines we have seen coming out. Look, the older ones will of course not move out. They have an entire infrastructure at place. Too much money has been invested. It'll be really good to see and know in the next coming years how many new companies, startups will want to come to Bangalore or start their business from Bangalore.
They didn't come just for the weather. Let me assure you that there's much more reasons for being in Bangalore than weather. Bengaluru, in fact, had a galaxy of stalwart political leaders. The same politicians have built this Bangalore years ago. In the recent times, as we all know, the quality of politicians has degraded across the country, and Bangalore is no exception. And when there is such a huge growth, the politics revolves around real estate, and that's what led to us. Every crisis is an opportunity. Somebody said, right? Don't let any crisis go without. So we are hoping that the citizens like me and many other Bangaloreans are hoping that we will learn from this, we'll fix our problems, and we'll move forward. There is nothing here that we cannot fix. That's the impression that that's a feeling that I have right now. Political rhetoric, going back and forth, the media attention, all of these things come and go. But at the end of the day, the citizens have to bind together as a community and work together along with the officials. And during COVID, we saw that. So Bengaluru is one of the cities where citizens had a forum called ward committees, where we all work together with our BBMP officials to contain the COVID spread, and including the urban poor and all of that. So we can do it if we set our mind to it. The real estate is involved crores and crores of rupees, and some of these things have done over the years. So maybe this attention and all of these conversations we're having will wake up everybody, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to kill the golden goose, right, Shreya? Politicians have benefited from this golden goose called Bengaluru, and they'll realize that we cannot kill this, the whole thing. So I think that all politicians will speak the language that Asihwarya is speaking, and cooperate with the investigation and actually take action. And assembly session happening right now is a great sign, because there's been 2 days of discussion on it, ongoing discussion, and things things that took decades and years to come to this stage cannot be fixed in a matter of few hours or days or even weeks. So it's going to take time. In the meanwhile, a lot of people are going to go through a lot of pain, and we have to empathize with them and see how we can support them and understand how to fix this at a systemic level. And that's, I think, is the biggest lesson for all of us. And I'm very confident that Bengaluru will rise out of this, and more startups and more multinationals will find Bengaluru as great as ever, and even more will come here.
Okay, Shrinivasan, I have the sinking feeling that next time it rains, again, the four of us are going to be having the same conversation. So that's the sinking feeling. But I have two callers. I was just about to wrap up this show. I'm going to thank all of you, but there are two callers who are lined up. So I think it's only fair that we listen to them as well. Mohan, you're calling us from Chennai. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. See, you must be wondering why I'm calling from Chennai. See, the thing is, the same thing is going to happen in Chennai next month. There is one Pallikarani marsh where all the floodwaters go and drain. That has been completely encroached, and all these politicians, whether this party, I don't want to blame anybody, but all these people are responsible. Now, if that encroachment is not clear, that same Bangalore situation is going to happen in Chennai next month.
Okay, so is Bangalore going to be a cautionary tale for Chennai? I certainly hope so. Last caller, Arun, calling us from Delhi. Please go ahead. I'm afraid to all our viewers, we won't be able to take any more phone calls. So Arun will be the last phone call. Arun, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Arun Jan from New Delhi. I just want to tell that BJP government should take action against the culprits, not against like playing the game with a party like Congress or BJP or JDU or any other party. They should take the action against the wrongdoings and who are responsible for doing all these things up till now, and not give the blame on others. This is my request. This is what should the government do.
Okay, thank you very much, Arun.
Thank you, ma'am.
The problem is, who do we right now pinpoint the blame to? The only thing we can say is that the system is at fault. But who's the system really? And can we send the system to jail, or can we penalize them? That's the question. Thank you very much to all my guests for joining us this evening. I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.